The Supreme Court has given its verdict while hearing 3 pleas on the EVMs. One, a plea to return to the ballot papers that there must be 100% counting of VVPAT slips in addition to the electronic voting, and the printed slips must be given to the voter to verify and put in the ballot box for counting. And all these 3 were rejected after detailed hearing for that matter and even explanations by the Election Commission after a notice was issued to it 3 weeks ago. The court said that blindly distrusting any aspect of the system can breed unwarranted skepticism and impede progress, but spoke about striving to build trust and harmony between all its pillars through open dialogue and transparency, fortifying each pillar. Both the sides very important. Election Commission of India has also made recommendations to seal and store units used to load symbols for 45 days after the symbols have been loaded to electronic voting machines in strong rooms. And the burnt memory, which is the saved memory in 5% EVMs, can be checked. This is interesting. Can be checked and verified by a team of engineers of the EVM manufacturers after the announcement of the results, but on a written request made by candidates, second or third winners in the constituency, and this should be done within 7 days of the results being announced. But this would involve costs, and that will be decided by the Election Commission of India, and the payment will be made by the candidate requesting for the check. But soon after this verdict, Prime Minister Modi lashed out at the opposition, calling the verdict a tight slap on the opposition, including the Congress. He demanded an apology from them for committing the sin of creating distrust over EVMs.
इंडी गठबंधन के हर नेता ने ईवीएम को लेकर जनता के मन में संदेह पैदा करने का पाप किया है। आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मतपेटियों को लूटने का इरादा रखने वालों को ऐसा गहरा झटका दिया है, ऐसा गहरा झटका दिया है कि उनके सारे सपने चूर चूर हो गए हैं।
And Jairam Ramesh posted on X saying Congress was not a petitioner but would continue to campaign for use of EVMs for greater public trust. 3 weeks ago, when the Supreme Court had sent a notice to the Election Commission, Jairam Ramesh had said that it was a first step. It bears constant repetition that the Election Commission has refused to meet a delegation of India party leaders who have been demanding 100% VVPATs in order to increase public confidence in EVMs and to ensure the integrity of the electoral process. Congress leader Digvijay Singh in 2023 December had questioned the reliability of the electronic voting machines following his party's defeat in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh assembly elections. In fact, Bengal chief minister in the past has raised allegations of BJP planning to hack EVMs in 2024 Lok Sabha elections, claiming to have evidence. And who can forget Rahul Gandhi's king's soul is in the EVM jibe at Prime Minister Modi just about a month ago. Let me introduce my panelists at this point. I'm being joined by O.P. Rawat, our former Chief Election Commissioner, Charu Pragya, spokesperson for BJP, as well as Matthew Antony, spokesperson for Congress. Thank you, all three of you, for joining us. Well, first to you, Mr. O.P. Rawat. One, what do you really make out of the suggestions or directives that the Supreme Court seems to have made? Very interesting ones, really. How do you look at them?
Yeah, so Honorable Supreme Court's order should be welcomed, not only for ruling out going back to ballot and increasing the number of polling stations for which VVPAT slip will be counted, but also for these directives that symbol loading units shall be kept in sealed cover for 45 days. And if there is something wrong, that can be detected. Second thing, microcontrollers, which are one-time programmable. If there is any flash memory or they are reprogrammable against them, if there is a complaint within 7 days of the results declaration, then investigation will have to be conducted. And if the complaint is found incorrect or wrong, then the expenditure will be borne by the complainant. That is what Supreme Court has ordered. And I think this should reinforce the faith and confidence of most of the petitioners as well as the opposition parties in the whole system.
Right. In fact, Matthew Anthony, if you could just coming at this point, a lot of hue and cry, a lot of protests, a lot of objections, concerns that Congress has raised with what Supreme Court has said today, particularly this example that has come out at this point of what O.P. Rawat has also clarified of what the Supreme Court said. How do you really look at it? Does it allay fears or concerns?
Sneha, we respect the Supreme Court decision. However, I want to show a piece of paper which shows a book. Democracy at Risk. Can we trust the electronic voting machines? Authored by G.V.L. Narasimha Rao through his organization VVPAT with experts on IT, experts from Netherlands and as well as others doing this and saying that the democracy is at risk. I just want to ask, what is the BJP stand on this? Now, why did they write and why did they
No, I will ask the BJP, but about Congress.
From 2000,
sure, I will ask that question to Charu. I've asked this question earlier as well as panelists. But Anil,
now,
what?
no,
I get that. I get where you're going. I get what you're going, Matthew. But what's the Congress's stand on this? I will go to BJP on that. Trust me. But what do you have to say? What does Congress have to say after this?
Yeah. Now let me come to the Congress stand. Okay, while we respect the Supreme Court judgment for whatever the Supreme Court has to be respected for, however, the party has made its stand clear through Jairam Ramesh's statement that we will continue the campaign because it is about the trust. It is about the trust deficit which is there in the electorate about the VVPAT machines right now, and we will continue the campaign to have a 100% VVPAT. That's exactly what we are going to do. And that's our stand, which have been made very clear. It is very specific. It is not vague, and that's what we are going to do. That's our stand on this. And neither we were a party to the petition, but we have been representing
to
the Election Commission to listen to us.
No, true, that's true. Yeah. Matthew, I'm also in a rush. That's why I'm trying to ask you another question before I go to the next panelist, because I want your response on that as well. The Supreme Court also saying blind distrust is not very healthy. The Supreme Court also raising this entire concern of trust issue, but saying the system needs to be improved and all the pillars of democracy needs to be strengthened and solidified. In that light, really, do you think this is a step forward, or are there still concerns about it? Because when you win elections, as the BJP claims, there never seems to be an issue.
My answer is this. There is a trust deficit, which BJP has also claimed, and they have written a book on this one. So, the trust deficit on the VVPAT is there because, we have an issue with this government having extraordinary control over the institutions. So, we don't have the belief and the trust in the institutions having their independence. And that's why we are making this claim.
Okay, Charu, if you could come in at this point. Charu, the court also saying, the court, while of course it spoke about blind distrust being unhealthy, the court also spoke about the need of working on public trust, of strengthening the institutions, and the court also said, we hope that the people's mandate would be represented in the vote the way it was intended to. And of course, what Matthew and the Congress have been raising about this book that was written, questioning that if that was once a stand, how could that change? Charu, to you.
Yeah. So let me go over this point-wise. When the Congress says they believe what the Supreme Court finally decides in a judgment, they cannot believe it and add a but after it. It actually makes them look very false, very fake. That's the first thing. The second thing is every time they win an election, they have no complaints about the EVMs. But when they are preparing for a loss, they talk about EVMs. Now, asking for 100% VVPAT actually is the same as a paper ballot. There's literally no difference to to the two procedures. And imagine a country where the voting population is 97 crore, the largest in the world. We celebrate democracy in a way that no other country does. We are the largest democratic population and our elections are celebrated the world over. Let me remind everyone that in 2017 also, now I've already spoken about the judgment of the Supreme Court, but in 2017 also a hackathon had been organized by the Election Commission of India. All the political parties complaining today had been invited to participate in that hackathon. What did these political parties do? They did not turn up. The reason? These EVMs are not hackable because they're not connected to the internet. They did try to pull off a coup abroad in the UK especially, but the EVMs that were used were not the ones that are used in the Indian election. Let me also remind everyone that the order in which political parties are assigned a button, a number, is not pre-decided. Nobody knows which button is going to be placed for which political party in what order. So it's impossible to do that. Historically also we know that ballot papers are easier to manipulate. People used to steal entire boxes and run away. Booths used to be captured, etc. So instead of being proud of an election process that visitors from all over the world have tested and admired and applauding the Election Commission at a time like this, you want to raise doubts on your own system. You are snubbing the election process, which is actually something which you should have been working harder for.
No.
When you don't do your job for 5 years, you'll only complain about the question
Thank you,
paper.
Charu, for your comments. I'm left with just a minute. I want O.P. Rawat to be the last person to have the last word because
a
he's
colleague
also
of
former Election Commission of India.
has stolen an EVM.
Okay, all right, Matthew. You've made your point.
Are you in disagreement
Rawat,
with the order of the Supreme Court?
I want you to
Is that
end
what you're
this.
saying?
No, he's asking another question though, but I really don't have time for this.
Say that for the trust deficiency,
no, Matthew and Charu, I think let's just leave it there. I know you guys are taking the conversation into something that may be very engagement.
Why
O.P.
did he
Rawat,
not
how
have
would you want to
in
end
Himachal
this
Pradesh
conversation?
or Karnataka?
And it is
60% of the votes in 2019 actually were.
All right, O.P. Rawat, please respond. Your last words on this very important decision that has come up from the Supreme Court. But of course, in the thick of elections, what would you want to leave the voters with?
I think voters should be very happy that Supreme Court did not go to the retrograde ballot paper system. Supreme Court did not ask for more polling stations VVPAT slips being counted, and Supreme Court also helped the petitioners that your concerns on microcontrollers and SLUs will be addressed, and there will be room if you have any doubt. There will be investigation, and decision will be taken after that.
All right. Thank you very much, O.P. Rawat, Charu, Pragya and Matthew Anthony. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sorry we had very limited time on this discussion because of the voter turnouts also which came out at the last minute and we had to deal with that. But thank you very much for joining us.